What's up, everybody, and welcome to Bios3 Raw TV. So the other day I saw this video by Lane Norton, and now Lane and I have had a pass before. We have since squashed all that stuff, and we're fine. And we see each other at these events and stuff. Everything is fine. And I had a few people contact me and go, Lane said this in his new video. What do you think? And I think people think that we're still at odds or whatever, or that I'm automatically going to say that Lane is wrong because we had a pass or whatever the case may be. But that's not necessarily true. Lane put up a video about how the fact that some people thought, or they claimed, that when you go on steroids, you actually need more protein. Hey Brady, what's going on, buddy? You actually need more protein when you're on steroids. Like, your protein requirements go up when you go on steroids. And Lane went through all the science and et cetera, and basically dispelled that myth and told everybody that it's not true. Now, not only do I agree with Lane on this, okay, but there's some other things that I'm going to add that I've seen throughout the years that can add to this equation. Now, Lane was talking about 20 grams of protein being the maximum that you need for new muscle growth. Now, 20 grams of protein being the max. I'm not really sure where that number comes from. But the minimum, okay, the minimum required for growth, and I mean, you can say he's not a scientist, he's not a doctor, but Arthur Jones was doing quote-unquote studies and experiments like way back in, like, I believe it was like the 60s or 70s or whatever it was, with his Nautilus, and Mike Menser was very science-based. He was super science-based. I mean, he cracked up at the end of his life and kind of lost his shit a little bit, but the bottom line is, he was really based on science results and what you see and what he can replicate, et cetera, et cetera. And both of them together came up with 6 grams of protein per day, past what you normally need, is all you need specifically to now ignite muscle growth after the stimulus has been there. So 6 grams would be the minimum, and Lane was talking about 20 grams being the maximum. I know plenty of people that jack their protein up like 100 fucking grams, and I'm like, you just don't need that much. I mean, I used to do it myself, yes, but I was always a lot fatter too. Like, I'd put on fat very quickly, very easily, because calorically, you just don't need that much. Your body doesn't need that much protein to synthesize that much muscle tissue. Now, needing more protein when you go on steroids. Not only was Lane right about not needing more protein, but something that I have personally seen, and of course, there's no fucking scientific studies for this, so I have nothing to back it up except for what I've seen. I've actually seen guys need less protein when they go on steroids than natural lifters. You can actually get away with taking less, not more. It doesn't increase. It actually decreases in most people for some reason. I'm not really sure why. So the only thing I can do is sit back and go, I have to bro science it and try to figure out why this happens. When someone goes on steroids and they get a recomping effect, okay, so basically you're losing fat and gaining muscle at the same time. You now have more muscle mass. You see the fat starting, I don't want to say melting off, but they're starting to lose body fat without changing their diet, without doing cardio. Now, the only theory that I can figure out how this works, and it could be completely off base, but I've seen people that are 250 pounds eat 200 grams of protein. Jay Cutler was 320 fucking pounds, and he was very lean at 320 and ate 275 grams of protein. Now, if you go by the gram per pound of body weight, or 1.25 grams, Jay was totally deficient in, protein. However, his body was able to synthesize new muscle tissue. Now, there were other guys that used to eat 600 grams, 700 grams, whatever the case may be. They had very fast metabolic rates that obviously a lot of that turned into glucose and was then burned off, or, in the off season when they were taking it and they got fatter. But the only thing I can theorize is as the body shifts hormonally when you start taking steroids, and some of these guys take quite a number of different compounds together, the body accesses fat very easily. So now what happens is, instead of having to use carbohydrates and, using, let's say you did 1.25 grams per pound of body weight of protein, but you didn't really need that. You only needed less than a gram. Some of that converts to glucose. It's used for energy. That doesn't have to happen anymore while you're on steroids. Your body can access fat easier for whatever reason it is. So you can actually reduce your protein intake and still make gains while getting leaner at the same time. So if anything, I think honestly, if you need more protein when you go on steroids and you're already taking, let's say, 200 grams, and you need to go 270, to me that seems like, and you're not building muscle at, a fucking 10 pounds a week or something like that. Sounds like things are very inefficient. Well, steroids make your body very efficient. So it makes sense that you would be able to eat less carbohydrates, less protein, and your body would access body fat more easily, more readily, and use that for energy rather than any other macro that you're putting in your body. So, you know, I mean, this is something I've seen over the last 20 years over and over again. And I got friends that have been on gear for, you know, way before I started, and they're 10 years older than me, and I'm 40. They're in their 50s, and I've been doing gear for 30 years. And you can watch them go on whatever they're taking. Body fat goes down, you know, muscle mass goes up, and they're eating far less than a gram per pound of body weight. I mean, there are some guys that literally theorize, and I've seen it, I don't understand how it works, that they use like a half a gram per pound of body weight. They just don't need it, and they'll make up the difference calorically with carbohydrates and fats, and, you know, their body still grows. So, I don't know, guys. You know, the studies are out there. If you find one study that says one thing, you find another study that says another thing. All I can say is the stuff that I've seen was replicated over and over again, and it seems to be very consistent throughout time. So it's not something that, you know, I'm reading online somewhere, or I'm looking at in a book, or there's a study that I'm trying to figure out and I'm misinterpreting. It's stuff that I've actually seen with my own two eyes over and over again throughout the years, and it seems to be super consistent. BioStrengthTraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. www.biostrength.com is the blog. It's the less protein when you're on steroids, bicep, and we're out.